गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. With due respect to Swami Kualananji, the organizers of this webinar, Dr. Sharma ji, and all our yoga lovers and yoga aspirants. Today my topic is yoga research and practical difficulties faced by one when he is trying to do research. Now before starting, just few lines about yoga. Yoga is a 5,000-year-old science. It is time tested, but there are a lot of misconceptions about it. Whether you can do it at a younger age, whether you have to go in the hill area after retirement only you can do, but it is not like that. Anybody can do it. We still not giving that much importance to our own Indian science. Anybody can practice yoga at any age. That's why it is said, yoga science says, yuva vruddhoti vruddhova vyadhito durbalopiva abhyasat siddhima apnoti sarva yogeshva tandrita. Means from the age of 8, 10 to 70, 80, 90, 100, any age you can practice yoga. Either if you are healthy or unhealthy, if you are having some disease, still you can practice yoga. So there is no bar that this person cannot practice yoga. If it is practiced with due consideration of the limitations and indications and contraindications of yoga, you will definitely get a benefit out of it. In fact, by practicing yoga regularly, you can set the biological clock of your body in such a way that it will not go wrong. And if something happens, you can add some more kriyas. Now, what is the definition of total health? Is it just absence of disease? No. It is also at the level of physical, mental, social, spiritual, and now we are adding emotional also. Now, as a doctor, we can give only at the physical level, but rest of the levels it is not possible with the help of allopathy. But there, yoga definitely play an important role. Now, 21st century is called century of tension, and tension disturbs the mind, and then mental stress increases. And because of this stress and modern lifestyle, we are facing with diabetes, hypertension, myocardial infarction, obesity, constipation, asthma, and psychological problem. All these diseases, they are non-communicable diseases. They are not caused by any organism or bacteria. So once you are diagnosed as a case of diabetes or hypertension, you have to continue medicine for all of your life. So it is not totally curable with the help of allopathy. Now sages were doing meditation, austerity, penance in the Himalayas. They were having the aim of moksha. They were not practicing it for just keeping good health. They are practicing it so that their health will be good, so there is no disturbance in their meditation penance. But modern man, he used to teach, oh, what you are doing yoga? We are so modern, we have gone on to moon and Mars, and you are still talking of old things. But when he was looking at him at a later stage, he found that he is healthy. He has never bunked from the office. Then he asked, Are, how come you have never had absenteeism? You never had any illness? So he said, no, I'm not having any illness. So what do you do for that? So he said, I practice yoga. Oh, yoga gives you good health. So modern man saw the benefit of yoga as a good health is a side effect or a side product of practicing yoga. Modern man doesn't want to do work for moksha. He is interested in only in enjoying the modern life. And for that you need health. And that's why he said, okay, I will practice yoga. But then he is not satisfied with that. Modern man wants it to be proved. So to be measured by modern allopathy parameters. And that is why the research has come in. Now what is research? What is invention? Invention means something new thing you have found out. That means it was not existing at all in the past. like electricity was invented, but the use of it in different appliances was made possible by doing research. So research means we are again searching what you can get anything new out of it and validate it. So similarly in yoga, the validation of the yogic kriyas with modern tools is nothing but research. Swamiji, Swami Kolananji has initiated a scientific research department in Kavaladham in 1924, and in those days he have proved that his findings on Nauli, Paranayam and meditation are still unchallenged thanks to his passion for fundamental research in yoga. Now researchers should have, when you want to decided that you want to do research, you should have the focus on research. You should only think of research, research and research only, nothing else. Then only you can achieve something. Then you should have patience. You cannot have the results in very short stipulated time. It may take long time. Another important thing, that never think that I will get positive result only. Suppose you take some trial, you may get a positive result or you may get a negative result. Positive result as well as negative result, both are the results of your research. So you should not worry that if I'm getting negative result, that means my research is gone. No, it is also a research that it will prove that the identified one particular kriya is not sufficient for looking after one of the disease. So it is also a research. So this thing you must remember. Then coming back to the how we can do research. So before that we must know what are the yoga effects. So yoga can have effect at physical level, mental level, social and spiritual. Now physically, yoga practices will affect on different parts of the body, different organs of the body, and you will be having good healthy life. Suppose you have got some disease and you started practicing yoga, so that particular organ will perform properly and your disease will come down. But how it is to be measured? Patient will say, I am feeling better now, but it is not sufficient. So we have to have the parameters to be measured, and these parameters you have to measure it pre and post, means before giving yoga and after yoga, and you have to compare pre and post yoga reports and do the data analysis, and then you come to the conclusion. Then you can say, yes, suppose I say Vakrasana is good for pancreas, good for diabetes, but I have to prove it. So I have to select the patient, I have to give them Vakrasana for 3 months, I have to do their blood tests, blood sugar tests before starting yoga intervention at the end of 3 months, and again I have to compare the results. And the effect of yoga particular practice in one single patient is not acceptable. So you have to take a big trial around the 50 people or 60 people depending upon the sample size. Now that was at the physical level. Now coming to the psychological level, it is psychological test will monitor, because psychological there is no parameter which can test. Like for diabetes, you have got a blood sugar parameter. You test the blood and say what is the blood sugar level, you can find out the difference. But for psychological level, there is no such test. But there are psychological tests. And these psychological tests have been designed by so many people after doing a lot of research on it. And then you have to use this test. You have to use it before giving intervention and after intervention. And you have to compare the score. What is the difference? So the measurement at physical level and psychological level is possible with the help of these tools. Now I'm just giving few examples. Now the modern man, we only know, if you ask somebody, your both nostrils are working, you'll say yes, both nostrils are working. But it is not like that. At a time, at any given time, only one nostril is working, either left or right. Now this has been studied and demonstrated, and then they also demonstrated by using the yoga danda. If you put it into the armpit, your nostril can open. So this study was done in Kavaladham. You can see here the photograph which you have done. Then about asanas. Now asanas in our body, there are so many bones. In between two bones, there is a joint like this. And then these joints, when they are making movement, it is possible and you don't get any pain. It depends upon the action of the muscle. So how many muscles are there? This is the thigh bone. All muscles are removed, and here all muscles are there. If you count from here to here, about 10, 20 muscles. On the backside, 10 muscles. So many muscles, when they act properly, contract, relax properly, you don't get any pain or you have the desired movement of your body. Now, this can be studied with the help of, these are the graphs. So muscle activity in asana can be tested, and muscle activity increases when yogic postures are performed in the isometric or isotonic contraction, while they are if they are performed like a yogasana in a relaxed manner, leads to decreased muscle activity. This has been proved with the muscle graph. So this study was done in the physiology department in Kavaladham. Similarly, now Jalaniti. Now this is the Jal Niti. Now while doing Jal Niti, this Niti water goes from one nostril and comes from the other nostril. This is lukewarm water and little salt is added. Now benefits, we have explained that water will go in from this side, it will come out from the other side, whole of the passage will be cleaned. Then the nasal mucosa swelling will go, organisms and dust particle will be thrown out, the drain of the secretions of the sinuses are thrown out, so no sinusitis, and fresh nitric oxide is produced, which is very important for the bactericidal effect on the organisms. It improves smell. The salt, it gives the antiseptic effect, and lukewarm water helps to kill the bacteria. Now all these benefits we have seen because of the Jal Niti. Now this has to be validated by doing different tests. So one of the tests is, you can see the mucosal swelling, whether it has gone down or not. Then in such cases, there is a eosinophil count high in the blood. So that you can do and see what was the blood count. This way you can validate the Jal Niti. Similarly, Ujjayi. Ujjayi is a friction breathing. Now when you are doing friction breathing, the benefits are like this. It clears the air passage, increases lung capacity, you get relief from sinusitis, your blood pressure comes under control, you don't get heart attack, asthma patient gets relief doing Ujjayi, and you can get rid of snoring. Now these are the benefits you can get by doing Ujjayi. But how you can validate? Now all people must be knowing the pulse oximeter. Everybody must be very familiar with that. Normal oxygen level is 100%. I have tested, because Ujjayi improves the oxygen level. So I had tested in 300 people. So this is the trial I have done. I have used the pulse oximeter. I have taken different strata people. So some of them were normal, some of them were heart attack patients, some of them were bronchial asthma. And then I found that oxygen level was 97, 98 before starting yoga, and after 3 months it became 99%. Heart attack patient, it was 95, 96. After 3 months, it became 98%. And in asthmatic patient, it was 85. After 3 months, it became 96%. So that is how I have validated the Ujjayi. Now coming to the Agnisar and Udyan. This is the Udyan. He has taken his anterabdominal wall totally inside and made a big pit over here. Now this, what will happen? It improves the motility of the intestine. It will, this the fat which is there into this mesentery, it will get dissolved. So the burden on the intestine will reduce. So intestinal motility improves. So digestion will improve. Then in the, just behind the stomach over here, there is a pancreas. Because of the Agnisar, it is activated, and you will get relief from the diabetes. So these all benefits you get by doing Agnisar. Now this has been studied by our Swamiji in 1930 or 1935. Udyan and Nauli practice induces negative pressure due to the suction force in the GI tract, along with missing of the heartbeats. The resulting vacuum is termed as Madhavdas vacuum. He has named this vacuum as the Madhavdas vacuum. This was the invention done by Swamiji. Now coming to the Jaladhauti. Now here we are drinking water and then vomiting it out. It comes into the stomach, and then you get acidity relief, you get relief from the forming of the stone, then you get relief from the reduction in the obesity. So many factors are there. So one of that was studied. This is the barium meal study. You know, barium powder, patient is given to swallow it, liquid barium, and then you delineate the stomach. Now here you can see this stomach. This is the stomach, and here you can see it is little bit irrigated borders. So what was done? The patient first the barium meal was done. The stomach picture was taken up. So this lining is seen properly over here, and then he was disturbed. He was something was told, or he was given some firing or something like that, and suddenly mental tension was induced, and he had an emotional disturbance. And then what happened? Again, we have seen with the barium, and he found that there the borders have become irregular. So he has developed the gastritis. So the acid secretion has increased. This was also measured by putting Ryle's tube and measuring the acid level. So this is type of research done. Now coming to the Omkar. Omkar is meant for making your mind thoughtless. Now this is not possible because our mind is always thinking of something. Science says you can keep your mind thoughtless only for maximum 6 seconds, not more than that. So if you are awake for 16 hours, you can make only 10% of it thoughtless, that is 1.5 hours. That too if you try to do it. Otherwise, you are always thinking. And when you are thinking, problems are occurring. When you make your mind thoughtless, the belief system is activated, healing system starts functioning, means body mobilizes its resources in such a way that body heals on your own. And when encephalogram was done of the brain, we found that alpha waves are generated. Now this study was done and the sympathetic activity was low, the neuropeptides are secreted and body heals on its own. Now this is the brain, and the encephalogram of the brain was taken like this. This is the method how you do encephalogram, and these are the tracing you can see over here. Here you can see it better way. Now these are the different waves, alpha waves, beta waves, delta waves. So they have found when she was not disturbed, the smooth alpha waves were there. When she was disturbed, this beta waves were there. So this is research. So we have seen, first what we have seen, what are the effects of yogic practices. Then we have seen how can we do the research, how can we validate it. And once you have validated, then we will see how it can be applied practically. So yoga applied as therapy, the benefits of yoga practices applied to treat the illness. So one of this is the, I'm showing you heart attack patient. This is the heart, and these are the 4 chambers of the heart, and this heart pumps blood to whole of the body 24 hours, and that is why all the systems in the body are functioning properly. But this heart also requires blood supply for its normal functioning, which is given by these coronary arteries. Now if there is a block in this coronary artery like this, what has happened? This part has become totally dead. So we call him as a case of myocardial infarction, heart attack. And then he's admitted in the hospital, and then stress test was done, treadmill test, it was positive. Then we said, okay, let us see whether you have got blockages. So angiography was done, and there were blockages. And then he was advised to undergo bypass surgery. So such about 1800 patients are treated with yogic practices. So 2 examples I am giving you here. Now this patient, this is angiography. You can see the coronary angiography has narrowed over here. So this is a block. Now this is one of the diagrams showing the angiography of one of the patient. Now this is one coronary artery. This is another coronary artery. And this is one block, and this is another block. This is the blockage of the artery. He practiced yoga, and after 1 year, you can see the length of this block from here to here, and this is another here. After 1 year, see the block from here to here, only this much remained, and this block has totally vanished. You can again compare it. The block has completely vanished. Similarly, this patient was having this single block. He was advised to undergo balloon angioplasty. He practiced 1 year with us yoga, and then after you see the block has totally gone. Now, this is a research, and we have done the pre and post angiographic picture to compare the blockages. Similarly, in diabetic patient. Now this patient, his fasting blood sugar was 207, postprandial was 353, and he was on tablet Dionyl 1-BD. And then he started practicing yoga, and then after 2 years you can see the postprandial, the 2 hours after lunch was 119. That is, it's absolutely normal. You might say that I might increase his blood, his tablets. So here he was getting Dionyl 1-BD. Then he started only one OD, that means once a day, and then no medicine, no medicine, no medicine. That means it all happened because of the yogic practices. So if you take lot of patients, which if you take 100 patients, then give them yogic practices and record all the report readings, and you can come to the conclusion. At present, we are conducting two trials on diabetic patient, on pre-diabetic patient, and we are trying to find out how much yoga is effective. So now coming to the actual research methodology, how one should progress. Now preparation for the project. You cannot directly jump on project research. We have to first think over it. What you have to think? Select the topic. What topic you select? What should be the theme of the project that you should discuss? Then for that you will have to do review of the literature. You have to see whether, suppose you are thinking that okay, I will do research on yoga for diabetic patient and I will test the fasting and postprandial blood sugar. Now this has been done 1,000 times in the past. So if you do it, then it is nothing new. So you have to see that what all the results researches have been done in the past by reviewing the literature, by viewing the journals and seeing the papers on diabetes. If you do the Google search or you go on PubMed and type yoga for diabetes, you will find several papers on that. Then you have to go through all the papers, read who has done what research, who has done what parameters, who has used what tools, and then you have to find out that you have to find out some new parameters, some new tool which nobody has done in the past. If you select that a new thing and then you do research, then that paper will be accepted. Otherwise, suppose you do a very good research, you have done all 500 patients tested and everything, but it is only on blood sugar level. So they will say, oh, 1,000 researches have been done till now, so there is nothing new to you. So you have to search for that, what is new I can do. So this is a research. So you have to do the review of the literature, go through the articles different published on PubMed and find out what topic you can take. Now what research has been done, we have seen, what are the findings. You may be able to take sometime same theme. Suppose he has used some particular investigation, but he has not used the angle which you want. So you can take up that also. There is no problem. What new you can do in the same investigation, if you are finding some new angle, you can take. So select the title. Once you have selected the title, then think about feasibility of getting required participants. You have got very good idea, novel idea, and then you have made everything, you have written the proposal and all that, and then you have come to the stage of intervention, and then you want to select the recruit the participants, and then you find, oh, it is very difficult to get the participants. So this point you should think at the time of selection of the title only, because it should be feasible of getting required participants. Another thing, now you have decided that okay, I'm going to do research on this topic, and then I'm going to use this particular center where I'm going to get multiple participants and I can conduct the yoga intervention. But that center doesn't have any hall where you can conduct the intervention. So before selection of the site, see that the place to conduct the intervention is there or not. Monitoring the intervention. It is just selection of the topic and writing the proposal is not job is finished. You have to see the implementation of the project also. So monitoring of the intervention. Suppose you are deciding to do the intervention at a very far away site, whether you cannot go every day or you cannot do observation or visit that place for supervision, then there is no fun in it. So you should have observing the participants' attendance consistency, whether they are attending properly, consistently. Then not only attending, you have to also see that whether they are performing the yogic kriyas or asanas told to them, because just sitting in the class doesn't make any difference. So you have to see that also. Then practical performance as per the protocol, whether the yoga teacher is implementing the same protocol and whether the participants are able to do it, whether they are improving it or not, or they are just doing for the sake of sake. So this all need what? Your site should be close to you. So these all things you think, and then select the proper title, and then come down for the writing project proposal. Now, what are the difficulties here? You have to first finalize the title. Then once you have finalized the title, you have to write aims and objectives. What are the aims? What is your primary aim? What are your secondary aims? What are your objectives? Then why you are thinking like that? So you have to also write a hypothesis, why you think particularly in this way. You may not get positive result. You can say both. Either I may get a good result or I may not get uh, good results also. So hypothesis, null and void hypothesis, you have to think over it. Then statement of the problem. What are the problems? What is the participant's problem selected? Whether it is a pre-diabetic, what do you mean by pre-diabetic? What happens if it becomes diabetic? Then what is the yogic kriya you are giving it? How it will going to help? So that you have to discuss in that. Then significance of the study. What is significant point in that study? What is different something? What is novel idea in this? That you have to write into that. Then present knowledge and relevant bibliography, including full titles of articles relating the project. You have to quote into the introduction and review that I have seen so many articles, and then in this article, this author has said like this, and they have found they got the results like this. That you have to quote. Introduction and review, you have to write properly with all these references. Then if you have done some preliminary work, that also you have to mention how it was done, how many members were participants were selected, how the standardization was done, and what were the results. So that it is called as a pilot study. So you can say that we have done pilot study, and now we are taking it on a large scale. Now then coming to the sample size. Sample size has to be calculated with the help of statistician. When you take into consideration all other previous researches done in the same line, what was the result and what was the sample size taken in that, and statistician will calculate and tell you what is sample size. You cannot decide that, okay, I will take 30 patients only, 35 patients only. So he has to give the sample size. So this you have to take help of statistician. Study design, you have to design it properly. Total intervention period, how much period you are going to give yoga practices, whether it will be daily or whether it will alternate day, whether it will be for 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, you have to mention it. Material and method, that also you have to do detail. Then RAC and IAC, this is very important. Review advisory committee, they will give you the suggestions in your project if there is something wrong. And then ethical, institutional ethical committee, this is the requirement for conducting any project. Without IEC clearance, you cannot do any project because it is unethical. So you have to present it to the ethical committee. You have to take their approval. You have to incorporate their inputs, whatever they are told. Again, you have to remodify the project and submit it to them. Once they approve, then only you can go ahead. Once IEC is approved, then you have to do the CTRI, clinical trial registration, because nowadays you cannot do any project without CTRI. So once IAC clearance is done, then you have to do the CTRI registration. Then also we have to do the inclusion exclusion criteria. This will come before this. So which patients you will take, which participants you will take, what will be the criteria, which patients you will exclude, which patient you will include, then why you will include, why you will exclude, that also you have to give explanation. Then tools, what are your psychological parameters, psychological tests which you are using, additional measures that you have to mention. Then study procedure, detailed like parameters, statistical scale, methods of ascertainment, and summary statistics. All these you have to think before writing project proposal. Intervention details you have to give. You have to give the intervention module thoroughly, how it will be intervened, what will be the timing, 30 minutes or 40 minutes, how it will start, what will be on the, suppose are you going to give whole of the module on the very first day, or you are going to do a step-by-step progressive yoga module implementation. So that you have to clarify in that. Then what are the groups? Experimental group and control group. Now, experimental group, what intervention you are going to give, that you have to give in detail, daily, 1 hour, half an hour, 5 days a week, 3 days a week, for how many months, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, like that. Then control group, what you are going to give for control group. Because usually you have to give something similar to that, but not the yogic practices, so that the comparison can be easy. Then intervention guidelines as per the ethical consideration. Then project outcome and application, that you have to think, write, and study design flow chart. Once you have written total project, then you have to define that, okay, first 2 months I will take for uh, getting all permission, then 2 months for recruitment of the participant, then 3 months intervention, 1 month or 15 days for pre-testing, then intervention 3 months, then again testing for post-testing, then data analysis, and then paper writing. All this you have to mention in the flow chart. Then data analysis should be done properly. Then facilities in terms of equipment, etc., available at the sponsoring institution for the proposal investigation should be mentioned into the proposal. And lastly, most important is the budget requirement. Whether it is possible to do it with how much budget. You may find a very good idea, novel idea, and for that some machinery or some tools are required, which may be costing 25 lakhs. And if it is not possible, then at the end you say, oh, I have done very good job, I have written a novel project with a novel idea, very significant idea, but because of the want of funds, I could not do it. So before starting that, you should see that feasibility of, as you have seen all the points. So, so that time only you should see what is the likely budget and whether it is possible, whether it is within your reach, or whether you are applying to some funding agency, what is the limit they have declared. Suppose some funding agencies, they say that, okay, your project should be good enough for up to 30 lakhs or 50 lakhs. So you should design it accordingly. Otherwise, you have done whole process of writing the project proposal and preparing it, and then at the end of the 2 months completing project proposal, and then you send it to the funding agency, and they say, no, this is beyond our capacity, we cannot approve it. So your all efforts are gone. So all these points should be taken into consideration. These are the different difficulties which are coming in the way, and if you think right at the time of selection of the topic and selection of the project, then you will not find much hurdles. And time distribution, everything, if you do it properly, you can definitely run the intervention and you can get good results. So I hope you have understood the method of doing research in yoga. Then what are the hurdles which you should think beforehand and try to find out the answer, and then accordingly you should write the project proposal, so that it will not be rejected by the funding agency. You will have enough funds to carry out that. You will get enough number of patients because selected the cohort properly, and then you can complete the intervention and can have the good conclusion and a good paper. Thank you very much. Hari Om.